Hey everybody, Reefgrrl here, and welcome to my channel. I know it's been a while. I've been sick with this and that and the other thing, had cataract surgery on my eyes. So the footage you see here is from months ago. That's when I started this video. This video is about water changes on the 600-gallon reef system that I call Crazy Town Reef. I had some questions about how I do water changes, and so I promised I would do a video, and here it is. But before we get into it, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Believe it or not, that is super motivation for me. I really do want to get back into these videos because so much has happened with this system and I have a lot to tell you. Also, when you get to the end, if you liked it, why not give it a thumbs up? Okay, here we go. When we were first planning this system, we wanted to make sure we included a way to do quick and easy water changes. What you see here is the upper of two storage tanks that I use to mix salt water. At the moment, I'm pumping fresh water in there in preparation for doing that. There's a Seachy Ultra Zero pump at the bottom of this 125-gallon vat, and it gets pumped through this hose manifold system over to what we call the mixing tank. The fresh water goes into only the top of the two because that's where we mix it into salt water and then drain it down into the bottom. And then the upper one gets filled with fresh water again, we mix salt again, and that gives us roughly 100 gallons of mixed salt water at any given time. I also try to keep at least 100 gallons of RODI on hand. To check salinity, I use a Tropic Marin hydrometer. No calibration required, but you do have to make sure the water temperature is in the range of 77 degrees, which mine always is because I keep my salt water heated. Now that the water's ready, we can start with the actual water change. Step one is to turn off the skimmer. The skimmer is in the 100-gallon vat from which we take out, 80 gallons of water, I think is how much we actually have in there. We drain it right down to the bottom, and then we replace that 80 gallons from the new salt water that we've just finished preparing. I'll remove the lids, and we turn off the single power head that's in here at one end to help with circulation throughout the bottom of this tank. Okay, so here's where the pre-planning comes into play. We set this up so that the 100-gallon vat could be isolated. My husband came up with this really cool tool. There are notches in the bottom of that pipe because I don't have the strength to turn that valve. And I have turned off the other two valves. So water is going directly from the 150-gallon into the return chamber and getting pumped back up to the display. The system is still running. So while the system is maintained throughout this water change, we will empty this 100-gallon vat. And in order to make sure I get the water level returned correctly, I check this pipe. The black line is where the water normally runs when the system is running complete. You can see it's settled about 1/4 of an inch below that black line, so that's where we'll aim to bring the water level when we refill this vat. Another step in pre-planning was installing this bulkhead with a valve so that when we need to do a water change, all we need to do is open the valve and the water will drain through this garden hose all the way around and go into the basement floor drain. So now we wait for the water to drain out, and recently we've started also bailing the water just to speed things up a little bit. I also take this opportunity to do some skimmer maintenance, especially on the filter system I set up because I really didn't like the filter sock that it came with. There is a video called Love the Skimmer, Hate the Sock, if you're interested in that. And another bit of maintenance that gets done while the tank is draining is to shake up these bags of filter media. There's Matrix and Siperax in these bags. That stuff has been in the system, used to be here in the 150, and I kept it because it's loaded with bacteria. But we rinse it out while we're doing these water changes and take the cruddy water out of the tank with the drain. Works great. Here's the miracle mud that I use in this system. I've used this stuff for years and I don't know if it does anything, but I do know that I see increased polyp extension when I stir it up. And once nothing more floats out of it when I stir it up and I swap it out, I see the same thing. So I just keep using it. Can't hurt anything. I use this hose to move water from the bottom vat over into the 100-gallon vat. There's a pump in the bottom of there. And in addition to that, we also drain water from the top vat using gravity through this hose. So it kind of speeds things up a little bit. Although I will say gravity is a bit faster than the pump. This power bar has plugs for the heaters and all of the water circulation pumps for both of these vats. When I do a water change, I simply unplug one of these plugs. Usually it's this first one, which is for the heater that's in the bottom, and I plug in the pump that's in the bottom. All right, so we have the pump pumping water through that one hose, and there's the other hose clamped onto the vat securely. So now I'm just going to show you how the valves work. This valve on the left lets water drain down into the lower container from the upper container. The valve on the right puts water through the hose. So I've opened that, and now we have water coming into the water change vat through the hose. At this point, we're about 25 minutes into what is usually about 40 minutes to swap out 75 to 80 gallons worth of water. You might wonder why we haven't clamped this water feed hose to the side of the vat. And that's because my husband, when he's holding it, swishes it around all over the bottom of the tank to stir stuff up so that it can be pulled up into the water column, go into the return chamber, get sent upstairs, and get filtered out when it comes back down, feeding the corals along the way. Checking the water level, it's all good, so we're done. Okay, time to restore the flow. With this awesome tool, that valve will get closed and the other two valves will get open, and that completely gets things moving through the entire system again. So we're back to where the water goes from the 150 through this valve into this 100 and then through this drain and out of the pipe through that valve and into the return chamber. I like doing it this way because over the next little while, that new salt water has an opportunity to gradually mix in with the existing tank water. So there you go. That's how we do water changes on the 600-gallon Reef system. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. It's quite possible I didn't explain some things well enough, and I would love to give you more information if you're interested. So thanks for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Stay safe, everybody.